The Xylox fleet moved silently through the void, their sleek ships scanning the star system with practiced ease. This was a region of space they had charted many times before, contested zone where rival species often tested each other's limits. But today, something unusual caught their sensors, a massive object, drifting just outside the edge of their known maps. It was too large and structured to be a natural formation, yet it emitted no signals, no life signs, nothing to explain its presence. The fleet's commander, a seasoned officer named Vale, ordered a careful approach. The ships closed in slowly, cautious but curious. Their long-range scanners began to analyze the object, expecting perhaps an ancient derelict, a forgotten cargo vessel, or some kind of abandoned station left over from an earlier era. The silence from the strange ship was unusual, but not entirely unheard of in these parts of space. As the sensors swept over the hull, the Xylox scientists exchanged surprised glances. This was no ordinary wreck. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of their largest cruisers, with a design that was both complex and intimidating. Layers upon layers of metal plates, strange geometric shapes, and deep recesses covered its surface. Most striking were the patterns of what appeared to be defensive systems arrays of equipment that hummed faintly, glowing with energy signatures that the Xylox had never encountered before. Ship's technology was unfamiliar, yet it radiated power and precision. As the fleet's chief scientist, Lyra, examined the readings, she whispered to herself, "This is not an abandoned relic. It's something active, something waiting." The command bridge buzzed with quiet tension. Vale considered his options. Their orders were to gather intelligence, not to engage. Still, the sheer size and potential danger of this vessel demanded thorough examination. He gave the order, "Begin a full deep scan. We need to know everything we can about this ship." The Xylox vessels spread out, their sensors probing deeper and deeper. The ship seemed almost to respond, as if aware of the intrusion.
Energy.
Fields flickered along its surface, and faint pulses of electromagnetic waves radiated outward. The fleet's technicians scrambled to interpret the data. But many signals were encrypted or coded in patterns unlike anything they had ever seen. It was as if the ship was deliberately hiding its true nature. Moments passed, each stretching longer than the last. Then, unexpectedly, a low hum vibrated through the nearby space. The battleship systems began to power up, lights blinking. On its hull, like the eyes of a giant awakening beast. The distant silence broke with a deep, resonant tone that echoed in the Xylox ship's communication arrays. On the main screen, a sharp, clear voice spoke in an ancient human language, a tongue the Xylox had long considered extinct. Authorized scan detected. Cease all activities or face consequences. The fleet froze. None had expected this. Response, Vale's eyes narrowed. Was this a trick? An old automated defense? He ordered a cautious reply. "We are explorers. You mean no harm. Identify yourself." There was no immediate answer, only a brief silence. Then, from the battleship's hull, smaller craft began to emerge sleek. Fighters built for speed and combat.
Ow.
Their markings were unfamiliar, but their intent was unmistakable. The Xylox fleet scrambled to prepare for battle. These were not relics, they were soldiers. The battle was about to begin. In the depths of space, a forgotten warship had awoken, and those who had scanned it were about to learn why humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The moment the Xylox fleet's scanners delved deeper into the vast structure of the battleship, an unexpected change swept through the silent void. Between the stars, the massive vessel, which had remained dormant and motionless for untold years, began to stir, as if awakened by the probing signals that reached its core. Lights flickered to life along the hull, revealing intricate patterns. A plating and weaponry that glimmered with a sharp intensity, casting a faint glow into the darkness of space. From deep within the ship's control center, a voice emerged, deep, firm, and commanding. Carrying the weight of centuries and the authority of a long-lost era, it thundered through the Xylox fleet's communication channels, breaking the eerie calm with a chilling warning. "You are warned. Cease all scanning and retreat immediately." Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your fleet. The voice was unlike any language the Xylox had encountered before, yet the tone was unmistakably. It was not a mere machine error or a relic's automated message. It carried the unmistakable presence of a living will behind it, a voice shaped by history and purpose. The Xylox commanders, confident in their advanced technology and battle experience, quickly dismissed the warning as a relic of ancient programming and automated defense system, designed to frighten off intruders rather than carry out its threats. Commander Vale, with a half-smile, ordered the fleet to maintain their positions and continue the scan. "If this thing is truly a threat," he said to his officers, "we'll see it soon enough. Let's keep our distance, but don't back down now." The Xylox ships prepared their weapons but remained focused on the scanning data, eager to uncover more about this enigmatic human battleship. Suddenly, the quiet of space shattered as the battleship's hangar bays opened with mechanical precision. From within, a swarm of smaller fighter craft burst forth, sleek and deadly. They moved with astonishing speed and precision, accelerating like deadly shadows darting between stars. The fighters' designs were unfamiliar yet clearly optimized. 4 combat-sharp angles, reinforced hulls, and weapons that glinted ominously under the starlight. They swooped toward the Xylox fleet with a coordinated grace that spoke of years of training and advanced tactical programming. Before the Xylox could fully react, the fighters launched a barrage of energy weapons that struck with deadly accuracy, disabling several of the fleet's sensor arrays and crippling their shields in a matter of moments. The alien pilots scrambled to respond, but the human fighters anticipated every move. Weaving through the defensive fire with almost preternatural reflexes, the pace and precision of the attack shocked the Xylox forces. They had faced many enemy species, with superior technology, brutal tactics, and overwhelming numbers, but never had they encountered such a blend of technology and strategy. It was clear the battleship was more than just a machine. It was a weapon designed to dominate, backed by human crews who were experts in war and survival. The alien commanders exchanged worried glances as they realized they had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity's fighting capabilities. The warning voice echoed once more over the comm channels, this time with a colder, more resolute edge. "Leave this sector. Failure to comply will lead to your complete destruction. This is your final warning." Despite the urgency of the threat, the Xylox fleet hesitated, caught between their pride and the sudden realization that they faced an enemy unlike any before. As the human fighters pressed their assault, disabling key vessels and breaking the formation of the Xylox fleet, the commanders were forced to reconsider their options. The battle was no longer a simple scouting mission. It had become a fight for survival against a formidable opponent. The human battleship, vast and seemingly unstoppable, loomed behind its deadly escort. It was ready to unleash its full power, if necessary. The Xylox had scanned a human battleship, and in doing so, had awakened a sleeping gianta force of human ingenuity, resilience, and ruthless efficiency that would not tolerate intrusion or disrespect. The warning was clear: respect humanity's strength, or be destroyed trying to ignore it. The Xylox commanders, stung by the sudden ferocity and precision of the human fighters' assault, quickly regrouped and prepared to strike back with everything they had. Their ships unleashed a relentless barrage of advanced energy weapons, missiles and pulse cannons, each blast aimed to overwhelm the massive battleship and its protective swarm. But the human vessel seemed almost untouchable. The shimmering shields flared and absorbed every impact, rippling with strength as if the attacks were nothing more than sparks against an unbreakable wall. Sophisticated countermeasures launched from the ship's hull created confusing fields of energy, disrupting the targeting systems of the Xylox weapons and causing many shots to miss by wide margins. The battleship's AI, a highly advanced system that had remained silent and inactive until now, came fully online and began analyzing the enemy's tactics in real time. It tracked every movement, every attack pattern, calculating weaknesses and predicting the Xylox fleet's next moves with uncanny accuracy. Then, with cold efficiency, it began to coordinate devastating counterattacks. The smaller human fighters, previously seen darting through space, now operated with flawless synchronization, their maneuvers choreographed by the AI to strike at the most vulnerable points of the alien fleet. Guided missiles launched from the battleship itself sought out critical targets with unerring precision, ripping through Xylox ships and forcing the aliens into a defensive retreat. Behind the scenes, the human crew aboard the battleship awoke fully from their long slumber. The scan that had disturbed them was not just a random intrusion. It was a challenge, a call to arms that they were ready to answer. Using advanced communication systems, the crew began to remotely coordinate tactical strikes across the battlefield. They directed fighter squadrons, adjusted shield frequencies, and deployed electronic countermeasures that scrambled Xylox communications and sensors. The human crew's relentless determination was clear. This was not a fight they intended to lose. The Xylox commanders, who had until now seen humanity as a distant, perhaps even inferior race, were forced to reconsider. Their sophisticated weapons and battle tactics honed over generations were being met and exceeded by this ancient battleship and its crew. Every strike the Xylox launched was met with a counterstrike that left their forces broken and scattered. Panic and doubt began to creep into the minds of the alien leaders. For the first time in generations, they faced an enemy who matched and surpassed their capabilities in both technology and strategy. The battleship itself became the centerpiece of the conflict, a massive fortress in space that seemed to command the battle with unshakable confidence. It moved slowly but deliberately, its weapons systems targeting enemy ships with surgical precision. Each time the Xylox tried to flank or outmaneuver it, the AI anticipated the move, sending out waves of fighters and countermeasures to close every gap. As the battle raged, the Xylox realized that the human battleship was not just a relic of war, it was a symbol of humanity's relentless spirit. Its technology was advanced, yes, but it was the humans' will to survive and protect that truly made it formidable. Alien commanders had scanned a ship expecting a forgotten piece of history, but instead, they had awakened a weapon of devastating power and intelligence. This counterstrike was only the beginning, a warning to any who might challenge humanity's place in the stars. The Xylox fleet, battered and disorganized, had no choice but to fight harder or face total destruction, but the confidence that once filled their ranks was shaken. They were now in a battle for survival against an enemy who refused to be underestimated, an enemy whose true strength lay not only in their machines, but in their unyielding resolve. The silence of space was broken once more by the roar of battle as the counterstrike pressed forward, changing the course of a conflict that none could have predicted. The battle between the Xylox fleet and the human battleship raged on. The quiet emptiness of space, with flashes of light and bursts of energy, amid the chaos of laser fire and the roar of engines, a daring move unfolded. A group of Xylox boarding ships, faster and smaller than the others, managed to close the distance to one of the human fighter craft. In the heat of the conflict, a skirmish erupted aboard the fighter, and amid the confusion, the Xylox soldiers captured a human pilot alive. This pilot, a young but determined crew member, was taken aboard the Xylox command ship, where the alien leaders hoped to gain valuable information that might turn the tide of battle. The interrogation began quickly, but not with violence. The Xylox were skilled negotiators, and they soon realized that this human was different from any enemy they had faced before. Calm and collected, the pilot spoke with clear purpose, answering questions without hesitation, revealing glimpses of a civilization built on resilience and deep-rooted values. Through shared data exchanges and careful conversation, the Xylox learned about humanity's history, how they had survived countless trials and disasters on their homeworld and beyond. They heard stories of human ancestors who faced extinction, yet found ways to adapt, innovate, and push forward no matter the odds. This was not just a people who built powerful machines. This was a species driven by a fierce will to protect their homes and loved ones. A culture that prized creativity and the relentless pursuit of solutions, even when all seemed lost. The pilot described how humanity's technology was not just about power, but about survival through clever design and flexibility. The massive battleship was one example, a weapon built to defend and to outthink any enemy, but also a part of a much larger strategy that combined advanced technology with human ingenuity and teamwork. As the Zealox leaders absorbed these revelations, a profound shift took place in their understanding of the enemy they faced. The battleship was not just a tool of destruction, it was a symbol of a broader human spirit that refused to surrender. The aliens recognized that they were dealing with more than just machines and weapons. They were facing a force of nature shaped by struggle, hope, and an unbreakable will to endure. This understanding changed the dynamics of the conflict. Zylox commanders no longer saw humans as mere opponents. They saw them as worthy adversaries, with a complex and determined spirit. The revelation stirred both respect and caution among the alien fleet. They realized that the battleship was only one piece of a much larger human defense network and strategy that they had yet to fully comprehend. The fight was no longer just about surviving this battle, it was about understanding a rival that could challenge the balance of power in the galaxy for years to come. As the human pilot was returned to their ship in a brief prisoner exchange, the Zealox fleet prepared to face their adversaries with a new perspective. They knew the battles ahead would be harder and more dangerous than ever before. Humanity's strength lay not only in their technology, but in their resilience, their spirit, and their ability to rise above impossible odds. The revelation had shifted the course of the war, marking the beginning of a deeper, more complex struggle, where survival depended not only on weapons, but on understanding and respect for the indomitable will of a species determined to protect its place among the stars. After hours of intense battle, the Zylox fleet found itself battered and broken. Their ships damaged, many crew members lost, and their confidence shaken more deeply than ever before. The human battleship had demonstrated power and resilience. Unlike anything the Zylox had faced in their long history of space warfare, the aliens' once firm belief in their technological superiority was replaced by a mix of awe and caution. As they finally understood the true strength that lay behind the seemingly silent warship, it was not just a vessel of immense firepower, but a living testament to humanity's indomitable will to survive and protect what mattered most to them. Faced with mounting losses and a growing sense of respect for the humans' relentless spirit, the Zylox commanders made the difficult decision to retreat. It was not a surrender born from fear alone, but a strategic withdrawal, recognizing that continuing the fight without better understanding would only lead to total defeat. The human battleship, having fulfilled its purpose, powered down its weapon systems and lowered its shields. Returning to a watchful silence that belied the readiness of its vigilant crew, these humans were not naive. They knew this was only a pause, a momentary calm before any future storms that might come. The crew remained alert, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of renewed threats, ready to defend their ship and their people with every ounce of strength and intelligence they possessed. As the Zylox fleet withdrew into the void, a profound transformation took place within their ranks. The tales of humanity's courage and cunning, once dismissed as myths or exaggerations, now gained new credibility. Whispers of the awakening giant spread through Zylox channels, stories of a species that fought not just with weapons, but with a spirit and cleverness that could outmatch the most advanced technologies. This encounter marked the beginning of a new era in galactic relations. Zylox, once wary and dismissive, now regarded humans as fierce survivors and clever strategists, enemies to be respected and allies to be cautiously considered. Diplomats began to prepare for dialogue where once they had only planned for war. The reputation of humanity grew beyond their star system, reaching far corners of the galaxy where other species took notice. Humans were no longer just one among many. They were a rising force whose resilience inspired others and warned opponents. The aftermath of the battle was not only measured in the damage done to ships or the number of lives lost, but in the lasting impact on the galaxy's balance of power. The humans had shown that survival depended not only on the strength of one's weapons, but on intelligence, unity, and an unyielding will to protect what they held dear. This legacy, born from countless trials and fueled by an unbreakable spirit, was now clear for all to see. The Zylox fleet moved away, their their vessels scarred, but their resolve hardened. They would return someday, better prepared and wiser, but with a new respect that tempered their aggression. Humanity had made their mark, not just through force, but through the revelation of a powerful truth in the vastness of space. The heart and mind of a species could be the greatest weapons of all. The stars ahead were filled with uncertainty. But one thing was certain: humanity had become a legend in the making, a beacon of hope and strength in a galaxy where survival was never guaranteed. And so, as the human battleship drifted silently through the starlit void, its crew ready and watchful, a new chapter began, one where humans were no longer the unknown, but the feared and respected warriors of the cosmos.